Hello, welcome once again to a new video. Today we will know in general terms the Ecuador localization as a complement to the basic standard functionality of Dynamics 365 Business Central with developments and functionalities that allow compliance with specific laws and regulations required by Ecuadorian tax legislation which are not covered within the standard solution. Now we are going to Business Central, and first we are going to review basic configurations to take advantage of all the benefits of our localization. Subsequently, as we have developed different functions and tables in each of the modules, we are going to review an operational flow in which we are going to buy and sell and see the behavior of these functions. And finally, we will be able to visualize the reports, accounting issues, as well as those reports on tax issues or fiscal issues. We go to the sales module and enter to the client's file where we will find, for example, natural person. We will find fields that we have developed that will allow you to identify the customer, such as the ID card, the unique taxpayer registry, ROC, passport, or if it is a final consumer. Here we can establish which would be the ROOC. I am going to copy this one. We are also going to find additional fields such as the type of taxpayer, if it is a natural person or if it is a legal entity. Also, if this customer belongs to the tax regime abroad. Here we activate the check and we will see which type of foreign tax regime is this client, for example, general regime. These fields can also be displayed in what would be our purchase module and our supplier master. We are going to enter, for example, this supplier, and we are going to find the type of identification. We are going to find fields like, also fields such as the type of taxpayer and so on. The type of tax regime abroad, we have it activated, the type of taxpayer and so forth and so on. In addition to this, we are going to put to the supplier or the client the withholding type that usually this supplier tends to use in the documents. So when we are executing a purchase invoice, a purchase order or any other document that requires the withholdings, the system will suggest, for example, that the withholding of 100% when I call this supplier. We can modify this within the document without any problem, but we have the possibility that the system suggests it. Here in this list, I have identified the VAT withholdings, and it is filtered by the type of withholding, by the type of VAT withholdings. And here the type of tax, because it will be classified by withholding later. Also in our product master, we are going to be able to add if the product has the value added tax or also transacts with the additional tax. We can add it. When we call this product in the purchase or sale document, it will take us what would be the additional tax, and the general tax, in this case 19%. At the configuration level, we will also be able to find what would be the series. In the series, we can keep it by users and by branches. For example, here we have 3 series of sales invoices for each of these users. Here user 21, here user 1, and by document type. This means that depending on the branch, it will start to run a series. Here we are in city 1. It will start running the Cali series. We are in city 2. It will start running the Barranquilla series, and this, well, depending on the user, it will start running the Barranquilla series depending on the user. Well, we have assigned. Now we're going to run a transactional flow in which we're going to buy, we're going to sell, and see the behavior of these functions and tables throughout our flow. We are going to enter into the purchase module, and we are going to first generate a cost invoice. We're going to go into new. Over here, I'm going to select what would be the supplier date. And we'll see that automatically the voucher type code, it automatically changes to invoice. On the other hand, if I want to modify it, I can do it without any problem. Here I am going to select what would be the invoice number. I'm going to type it, let's say number 2. If this invoice has a type of document, for example, it is the sales receipt and the tax support code. Here I'm going to use 01, which is the tax credit for VAT return, for VAT declaration. Now I'm going to select the products. I'm going to call my first product, and I'm going to call my second product by putting them in the main warehouse and the quantities. Here we can visualize, going a little to the right, how the system suggests the withholding tax of 2.75 and the VAT withholding of 100% for supplier fee. As well as it also relates me the additional tax to this product. We are going to indicate register, and we are going to indicate preview. We go to VAT movements, and we see each one of the values that correspond to withholding tax, VAT, withholding tax, and the additional tax. For example, here I have the base of 7,380,000 with the withholding tax of 2.75. For example, here I have a base of 1,402,000, which would be the VAT, the amount of 100% in Retaiva. In this way, we can register this invoice. We go to accounting movements, and we can visualize the debit and credit to each one of the accounts that we have set up, we have parameterized so that the amount arrives to those accounts. We see the third party column as he relates to me what this third party would be like in each one of the movements of accounting account. This with the purpose of when I generate the report, the system recognizes the amount, detailed amount of by third parties of each of the withholdings and others. Let's tell it to register. It tells me that it is registered. I can go to the registered invoice. Now we are going to generate what would be a purchase settlement. We are going to enter to invoices, to an invoice, purchase invoice, and we are going to have a check that indicates the purchase settlement. Purchase. When I activate it, this invoice becomes a purchase or service into a settlement of purchase of goods or services. Here we are going to find also the fields like withholdings of sources, withholdings of VAT, additional taxes, and also fields like foreign trade. Here we can activate it and indicate the customs district code or the code of the export regime code. This field will be found in purchase invoices as well as in purchase invoices and purchase invoices and so on. Now we simply click on register. We say yes. And we go to the history of purchase invoices, in which we are going to find, for example, the invoice of purchase that we have just done. For example, whether it is cost before sale, whether it is, if it has a tax support code, tax code. And in this case, since it is a purchase liquidation, we will find it reported in our history as a purchase liquidation. Now we will also find in the purchase module that we can issue documents as purchase debit notes. Here we can add or create our debit notes, also as credit notes and so on. Now we go to our sales module and we are going to enter the sales order. We are going to indicate a new sales order. I'm going to select the series. It will be placed automatically, and I can specify whether the sales order is going to consume a way bill, and the system will automatically tell me which the way bill is going to consume, and if it is also going to generate an internal transfer document. We are going to select what would be our customer, let's say a natural person. We are going to enter the product, let's say this one that we bought. We indicate the warehouse, the quantities, and also within our purchase order we are going to find the fields for VAT withholding, additional taxes, withholding without source, etc., and so on. Additionally, we are going to find fields. If, for example, this sales order is for foreign trade, we can activate it without any problem. We click on register, and send. Okay, we are short of quantity to send, then and we click on register and send. Okay, here we have generated the shipment. We can visualize it in the order form, shipment, and here we have our delivery note. We are going to go out and within the tab Ecuador that we have created, where we are going to find third parties, tax support, historical waybill and historical certifications, withholding. Let's go to historical remission guide, and we can find the remission guide that we have just done with the series that started running, the user who made the order. We will also find the carrier, the carrier's club, the plate information, and electronic status fields to electronically stamp our waybill. But not only the sales orders, also not only sales order, you can generate waybills as well. What would be the inventory transfers? Let's enter a transfer order. We are going to enter a new transfer order. I am going to select the primary warehouse, that this merchandise goes to our secondary warehouse. We are going to activate the waybill. I am going to select the product, the quantity, let's say 10, amount to be sent 10, and I indicate register and send. Ready once I send the document. Or the merchandise between our main and secondary warehouse will also generate a waybill. From referral, so it will be a transfer order. Here activating the series that starts to run and so on. Lastly, we are going to generate what would be withholding vouchers and the accounting reports and fiscal books. We are going to enter the treasury module. Payment journal, we are going to enter the generic journal. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pay the invoice to the supplier that I have just registered. And once the system automatically shuts down the localization, it will generate what would be the withholding voucher. Here I am going to select the supplier. In this case, it was the test supplier. I'm going to select the form of payment. Let's say cash for this example. I'm going to select the bank, the counterpart account. And now I am going to relate what would be the invoice. We are going to organize by record date. And here I'm going to select the invoice. The invoice we give it, accept. Okay, once we accept, we are going to register. Remember that withholding vouchers will be generated when an invoice is paid, in installments. When it is a multi-payment, several invoices are related. And when it is multi-payment with partial payments, all this will generate or cost what would be the withholding voucher. We are going to indicate register. We say yes. We wait for, we give it accept, and we go up to the Ecuador tab, to the withholding certificates history, and we see that in the items number 19 was created what would be the withholding certificate, because with all the information relating the invoice, the serial code, correlative which begins to run, and everything else, and it shows us the active status. If I go to supplier movement and look for the supplier or the payment that I just made, I will filter it again by date of registration. I am going to unliquidate the movement. Here I indicate yes. I indicate to accept. I return again to the Ecuador tab in the withholding certificates history, and I have that this certificate was cancelled once I pay it. This certificate, once I pay it, it will be active again. Lastly, I'm going to show you what the report would be, starting with the balance sheet. We have our balance sheet, and then I have all the information, debit, credit, and all the balance sheet information. I can also generate the detailed purchase ledger. I can set different filters in terms of dates to the supplier and so on. We indicate preview, and we are going to obtain what would be the purchase ledger report. Here we are going to find the detailed purchase ledger, the date type of document, the document number, and all the information related to the detailed purchase ledger. To the detailed purchase ledger, we are also going to be able to visualize what would be the sales ledger. Also detailed, we can establish different filters in terms of customers, dates, and so on. We indicate a preview, and we can visualize what would be the information of the detailed sales ledger. Detailed sales ledger, document type, VAT document number, VAT amount, and so on. We are also going to be able to visualize what would be the ATS sales. Here you can set different filters such as by start date, end date. We show you a preview, and we visualize what would be the ATS, because with each one of the information in terms of sales, we are also going to generate what would be the ATS of purchases. Remember that we can export it to Excel. With design to Excel, without design, only data to a PDF, and others we can establish. For purchases, we can establish filters such as start date, end date, and so on. We indicate in preview, and we will be able to visualize what would be the ATS of purchases with all the information. Here I am going to expand it a little bit because I have it in print view, and then it shows me each of the information contained in the purchasing ATS. Don't forget to visit our website, where you can find detailed information about our location and the documents we issue electronically. The documents that we issue electronically, the accounting and tax aspects of our accounting and tax functionalities, the reports not only of the Ecuador location but also of the different locations we handle, such as Colombia, Chile, Guatemala, among others. We can also visualize what would be the services we offer, such as our trainings, webinar and products such as LLB Retail. At the bottom of the page, you can download the brochure of the location. Thank you for your attention, and see you in a future video.